click midterm grade for your midterm grades. That's important for students to kind of have a midway point in the semester where they know how they're doing. It's a good check for them to see, you know, if they need to reach out to you and if they need additional resources. So midterm grades. After that, there'll be the 60% attendance point. You'll also receive an email to your Ivy Tech email account talking about 60% attendance. This is important for financial aid purposes. So if a student ends up not passing their class, and if they've stopped coming somewhere prior to that 60% point, they may not be eligible for all of the aid that they received. So for your purposes, it's just a matter of, you'll say, hey, it's time to turn your 60% information. On your roster, you'll say, yes, the student was still attending at this point. No, they weren't. Yes, yes, no, yes. And that's all you do, is as of this point in the semester, is the student still attending this class or not?
And Corey, if I may, read your emails very carefully because, again, in this 8-week format, so if you're teaching a first 8-week class, a 16-week course, and a second 8-week course, and you get a request to report 60%, the first one's probably only going to be for your first 8-week classes, so don't report yet for your 16-week classes. So it's really important to know what you're teaching and the timeline of the different deadlines and what you're reporting and when you're reporting. For instance, when it comes to week 8 in our semester, if you're teaching a 16-week class and a first 8-week class, you're going to be reporting midterms for one class and final grades for another at the same time. So it's going to be challenging. So just watch and like she said, make sure you're clicking on the right things for the right classes.
Emails should be very specific as to what courses that's for. The last point in the semester is your final grades. So once again, you'll get an email saying it's time to turn in your final grades. The one thing I do want to point out is the difference between an F and an FW grade. So if a student passes the class, they get an A, B, C, or D, fantastic, you issue those grades. But if the student fails the class, we have two different types of failing grades. One of them is an F. That is for students who came the entire time. They started the semester, they did their work, they participated, and they got to the end of the semester, and they just flat out did not earn enough points to pass that class. That would be a failing grade, and plain old F. But if you have a student that started the semester and maybe they showed up a few times, they missed some classes, and then about halfway through, you just never saw them again. They dropped off the face of the earth. That student did not earn enough points to pass the class either, but they're going to get an FW grade because they stopped coming prior to the end of the semester. Once again, that difference is for financial aid purposes. That student who has an FW grade, their aid may have to be adjusted, and they may not be eligible for all of the aid that they received. Their aid was a contract that they got money to attend this class, and they failed to uphold their end of the contract by attending the whole class and passing it. So financial aid may have to adjust that. So once again, all of this information is in this key reporting. I flew through this for you brand new people. So if you have questions about that, this sheet is here. It is also, if you scroll, right over here is key reporting for faculty. The same sheet is right here. And then if you scroll down a little more, you can see there's Columbus and Southeast faculty resources. There's lots of important dates. There's a sheet here that has important dates that talk about when the last day to drop, when to turn in your no-shows, when the last day to withdraw, when to turn in your final grades, depending on what class or what length of class you teach. All of this information is out here on My Ivy under the important dates and the faculty reporting requirements. Tony, you had a question?
I have a question. With FW grade, suppose on a rare occasion, you get a student who does everything except for some reason they missed the final. And you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to hear from this guy who's going to request an incomplete. So you don't hear anything. And so by missing the final, he didn't pass the class. That's an FW?
Yes. According to how the policy is written, if they do not complete the last academic event, a final project, a final paper, and they did not earn enough points to pass that class, they would get an FW. Yes.
In an online environment, I noticed with some of the dates now, it used to indicate what our online deadlines were. So do we follow a Monday through Friday, or how do we choose the dates on an online environment?
So for 16-week classes, I mean, the dates are all the same. If you teach an 8-week class that's online, that would do what starts on Monday.
Okay.
So your online class would start on Monday.
Okay.
Yep, good question. So I breezed through all of that information really, really quickly. So if you're brand new and you have questions about that, as you get emails that come throughout the semester, reach out to your program chair, reach out to somebody and say, hey, I don't quite understand this. Or my contact information is on the bottom of the sheet. You can reach out to me and ask those questions. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that you guys have the information you need to successfully turn this information in. Any other questions? Yes.
Missed first class, where's, you go to Ivy, I always remember that, the living model final. First class is,
It's IBA.
Oh,
So
raising a flag?
Oh, just the first,
the
okay.
first class flag is through IB Advising.
that's right.
There's a link on the top.
And you probably just received an email today about raising that first missed class flag. Yeah.
So, and that's different than your no-shows. So even if you raise a flag that says that you missed the first class, you still would need to go in and submit that student as a no-show if they did not attend within the 100% refund period. Any other questions? Right?
Thank you, Corey. All right, now we're going to turn it over to Terry Barnett, who is from our testing center, and she's going to talk to you a little about proctored exams.
Hello, thank you. I'm Terry Barnett. I'm manager of the testing services here at Ivy Tech. Our testing center is small. I'll just let you know. We have a very small testing services area, but it's in the Columbus Learning Center, the CLC, room 1201. That's where, if you are teaching an online class, how many of you are teaching online this semester? Okay, a few. Some of your exams might be proctored. In other words, you don't want the student to be taking the exam at home. You will want them to come into a proctored environment with a proctor overseeing that test. If that is the case, you will need to submit a proctor form. Everything that you need to know about that proctor form will be in your faculty resource center. And just so that you know, you will go into your faculty resource center. If you do not have a faculty resource center, you have to be invited to click, and you certainly can contact Julia or Dylan to get invited into that faculty resource center. Once you get into that center, you're going to click the little question mark at the top. There'll be a help button, and then it'll be under the helpful links, you're going to find testing services. There you're going to find everything you need to know about your students coming into a testing center and what you need to do prior to that for your students to be able to take their midterms and finals. The Proctor U information is there as well, so make sure you do that. Make sure there are videos, there are instances where you can see how to fill out a proctor form, everything you know, where you send it, that's all in that area. Make sure that you read that carefully, because what's going to happen is when you fill out a proctor form, and you're going to send, if you're teaching from the course from Columbus, you'll send one proctor form for your class to, and it'll have the address, but it'll be the Columbus Testing Services area. Doesn't matter where your students are testing. Your students could be testing in Fort Wayne or Evansville, it doesn't matter. You're going to send the one perfectly filled out, completed proctor form to us. We then will review your proctor form, make sure that it's clear, make sure that we we try to circumvent any questions that any proctor around the state might have about your proctor form. And we may come back to you and say, this is unclear, or did you put in the notes that you're to collect the scratch paper, but you haven't clicked, you haven't checked off that scratch paper is to be distributed. Which is it? So we're going to make sure that that proctor form is very clear, because what we don't want to have happen is for you to have 35 phone calls during midterms and finals from proctors around the state saying, we don't know what to do, because your students are saying they're allowed notes, and you haven't checked the notes on the proctor form. What do we do? So we'll go back and forth with you. Then we will file your proctor form in a shared drive that all the proctors around the state can access. So it should be just one very concise, perfect proctor form, and then you shouldn't have any problems. However, we would like you to make sure that you do put 2 contact phone numbers on that proctor form in case at the last minute something goes wrong, the password's not working, something's happening, and that we need to get a hold of you so that we can make sure that your students are having a good testing experience without the stress of their password's not working or whatever. So please put 2 phone numbers. Don't put the Ivy Tech phone number that takes us to the Ivy Tech front desk. That's not helpful to us. We will not give your phone numbers to the students.
Of course, you don't have 2 phone numbers.
One phone number, as long as it's a good contact phone number, is fine. If you have a cell phone number, that's fine, and you're going to be there. That's okay. But you know, you might have, if you have, sometimes you're going to be at work here, or sometimes you're going to have your cell phone. If you can put both phone numbers, that's fine. But as long as it's one great, one that we can actually get. Sometimes we get proctor forms in where they have the Ivy Tech front desk phone number, and that's all we get. So we don't have any way to get a hold of you. So we're emailing you. We're trying to, you know, the student's crying because their deadline is in 5 minutes and you can't get their test delivered. Just so that you know, if you have if you're teaching a face-to-face course that has a certification attached to it, like one of the boat courses, or maybe a technology course, MSSC, something like that, those students will also come to the certification center to take their test. We do deliver all those certifications for you, and I'll be in contact once I get that list of the instructors and the courses that have the certification attached as a consumable fee. Then I'll contact you and just make sure that you know any ins and outs of that. Beware that any certification that is attached as a consumable fee must be taken by the last day of the semester. So if it's an 8-week class, that student has to take that certification by the end of that 8 weeks. Or they will lose their opportunity to take the certification unless they've received an incomplete in the course. If they receive an incomplete in the course, you please let me know, and then then they have 30 days to complete the certification. And what happens there, it doesn't matter where they're testing again, those students can be testing anywhere, but I will note in the statewide drive that student has 30 days, or that student has received it incomplete, so that wherever they're testing, they'll allow them to test on that certification. Just also beware that scheduling is very, very tight with us, very tight scheduling. In order to have all those online students who need to test come into test, we have to do some fancy footwork. Certainly during our finals week, we extend our hours. We try to do everything we can so that students aren't having to go somewhere else to test. However, we always get those people that tests due on Friday night, and they're coming in at 7 o'clock to try to test. We do everything we can to accommodate them, but our testing center is by appointment. So make sure that you stress to your students that they should make an appointment for their testing early. And then, but we cannot accept an appointment until that proctor form is in and filed. So please don't make the first assignment for your students to make their appointment unless you have that proctor form already completed. You don't have to have the test loaded, but you do have to have the password of the test, and you have to have the dates and what test it is, so that we can just file it, and then that student can make an early appointment, get a good seat, or a good time that they want to test on the date that they want to test. If you all make your deadlines the same day, the same time, 95% of your students are going to want to test on the last day. So that makes it really interesting to try to get all your students in. Also know that no testing center in the state is open on Sunday. So it's not helpful if they want a proctor test to have a Sunday night deadline. It's not helpful to them. So just know that.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
on Saturday, until when you are open, or how many working days of Saturday?
We are open only on the Saturday of finals until 12:30 p.m. We extend only in the afternoon or in the morning until 12:30.
Until 12 p.m. for Saturday?
Yes.
How long working day?
Typically, our hours are from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Monday, Thursday, and Friday.